Hello out there, streamers all, and welcome to IGN News Live, a brand new show where we talk about news, gaming, and so much more. My name is Michael Swain, representing our video team, but we are a very skilled multi-quadrant place here, so I'm also joined by Josh Dew, representing the social team, and Jonathan Dornbush on my left here, representing news and editorial. And then over at the bar there, we got your pal and mine, Jeremy Azevedo, representing what 10 years of working on the internet can do to a person. He's 17, ladies and gentlemen.
What?
Huh.
Yeah, fun facts. The more you know. Hey, how you doing, fellas? Say hi to the people.
No, I want to go back to the age thing.
Yeah, he's 17?
Yeah, what?
Yeah, he's just been withered by
Being online,
a lifetime online.
Ages you. It's messed up.
Yeah.
I don't think you're legally allowed to work here, but...
But this is a daily afternoon chat show where we aim to bring people from every sort of sector of IGN together to talk about the gaming news and entertainment news of the day. So that's what we're going to do. Jeremy holds it down at the bar, and he sort of throws stuff at us, and we'll be interacting with you through chat. So get in there. Say some stuff. We'll say stuff back. It's a talk show, you guys. That's basically it.
Yeah, we're talking.
Yeah. What do you got first on the docket, Jeremy?
Well, first I thought we would talk about the Final Fantasy VII remake and how Red 13 is not a playable character. You got the details on that?
Yeah, that stung at the morning news meeting, I have to say, as a Red 13 fan. The remake will feature Red 13, but as an NPC, and there's no word yet whether, because the remake's going to be released episodically, they haven't closed the door on Red 13 being playable someday.
Well, I mean, there's always updates to games nowadays.
Right.
Well, yeah, and this is very specifically about this part, which they're not officially calling Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 1, but for all intents and purposes, it is that. So right now, we know Red 13 is in the game, but outside of that, not playable.
Okay.
In this portion.
And are there any extra insights as our news guy that you have around it? Like, my big question is,
Red 13 now.
do we know where the Part 1 will end? Like, people who've played through the original, is there any, like, idea of how much of the game Part 1
there's
encompasses?
assumptions about where it will end, but they haven't quite said yet. Obviously, the game's not out till early April 10th, I believe, after that minor delay from March. So we don't know exactly the scope of it, but we do know essentially that it likely is a smaller chunk of the original Final Fantasy VII that is much more expanded upon.
Gotcha.
A couple members of our team, including Matt Perslow, who put up a preview, actually got to play through the first few chapters, a later chapter, and then I believe a boss fight. So they've seen more than what is out there in the currently available demo. Gotcha. Which also came out today.
And how are people on the lines responding to this news?
Well, here's the thing about our social audiences. They don't really care about this game.
Really?
Well, especially on Instagram. Yeah, Instagram is not... Every time we make content about it, people are like, I mean, this game is pretty old. I mean, I've never played this Final Fantasy game. I don't know who Red 13.
A Final Fantasy.
And I believe you...
I don't want to piss off all the commenters, but yeah. I mean, what is Red 13? Is he that... What is it?
Well, if you had to describe what you assume is Red 13 in the trailer, what
You got eyes, man. What's it look like?
Yeah. It's a sapient magic coyote guy.
that is.
Is that
What
how
else
you
do you
describe it?
God damn it.
There seems to be some disagreement here.
He
I thought
lives
it was
in
obvious.
Desert
We have a
Buttes. He lives in
few-
Cosmo Canyon.
We have a few Red 13 stands on the IGN staff. I think
Yeah.
Lucy O'Brien and Miranda Sanchez are
okay.
big Red 13 fans, so this news probably hit them hard. But yeah, I actually have never played Final Fantasy VII either.
Not the only one.
Full admitting.
Not the only
but
one.
can't
I
wait to play
have.
this demo.
I have,
It does
for the
hugely-
record.
I know you're saying it's not as big on Instagram. It does. The IGN, at least IGN.com audience, certainly cannot get enough of this game. It seems like.
And I actually know more people than I thought I'd know, even among all us gaming fans who are like, this will be my first, like I do plan to play Final Fantasy VII in this form.
Yeah.
Which is just nuts to me because I have
wasn't
such
allowed to
clear
play
memories of the
Final
original.
Fantasy as a kid. I've told this story
Okay.
on
What do you
Podcast
mean you weren't
Beyond.
allowed to play Final Fantasy as a kid?
My parents found out that they cursed when my friends brought over Final Fantasy VIII, and then they just forbid the franchise in my home as a kid, and so I never played them when I was younger.
That's wild.
I thought they just didn't like. Never mind.
Red 13.
Giant.
You're like, it's an abomination.
Yeah.
It's a path.
Dogs can't talk. Dogs can't talk. And you're like, get a load of Genova. You guys don't even know what I'm talking about.
I have no idea.
This is
I'm
insane.
just laughing along.
You guys are gonna really be tripped out when you see Kate Sith.
Oh yeah, Kate Sith kind of doesn't make sense to me anyway.
that a
Still
Star
having
Wars
played
character?
through. Sure.
Yeah?
Why
Yeah, I'll
not?
take
I'm
it.
so excited to go on this journey
I'm
with
really
you.
excited actually to play. As a big, I'm very well known. I love Kingdom Hearts. So FF7
Sure.
is a big blind spot for me.
Yeah.
So this feels like right now the best way to experience.
And people who did play through like the 3-disc version, I think there's going to be a new renaissance of like vicariously living through. I never expected this many years later. My friends who hadn't played it would have opinions about it. We could
Yeah.
talk about it. Yeah.
Well, so,
So
for
I'm
people
looking
who
forward
did
to
play
it.
through it. Actually, in the comments, they're pointing out like this guy, what's his name? MPG Heaven says, seems like a reasonable approach. His character is basically less than an hour in your team in the original Midgar, and since the first disc or whatever release is going to take place in Midgar, it would make sense that he just shows up and kind of you're introduced to his play mechanics and everything. But
Yeah.
it wouldn't make sense for you to try to progress the character as a full party member in that short of amount of time.
And they have said Red will join the party and be an AI-controlled guest character, and he will have all the nostalgic moves that people who are fans of the old one are expecting to see. You just won't be clicking through the thing and making them happen yourself.
So on the flip side of it, though,
Yeah.
a lot of people are kind of already starting to be annoyed by the whole episodic thing. This guy Runs from Shadow says, it's definitely a huge reason why I'm not a fan of the way they decided to do this remake. We're only getting 4 of the characters right now. The game does look great, but it's just lame that we're going to have to wait another 3 to 4 years for more. Do you think it's really going to take 3 to 4 years to get the next episode?
Well,
I mean, right now there is no expectation for what the rest of the cadence will be. They have very explicitly not talked about the future beyond this, beyond saying it is episodic. I mean, obviously that they have the framework down of how the game will work. That is a big leap than where they were starting from scratch, because this game was actually being developed. I believe it was CyberConnect 2 was the original developer, and then production moved in-house internally into Square. So this game has been in production for a long time, but that's because development restarted. So this has been a longer period, I think, than we'll have for the next follow-up.
and I think you have to imagine that in the light of RE2 Remake, successfully recontextualizing a game completely and yet not getting hated by the fans, in fact, getting embraced and sparking a whole renaissance. We'll probably see a lot more of business moves like this, and personally, I'm excited. I mean, movies have been in that place for a long time already. It doesn't bother me. In fact, it bothers me even less so to see a game brought up to date and recontextualized with new mechanics. Personally, I'm into it.
Yeah, but to do it episodically is the one thing that's kind of weird. Imagine a movie that did that you couldn't possibly know what's going on in the second movie unless you watched the first one. How does progression work? I remember in the original, you could level up to level 99, which is crazy. I've done it because I didn't have what's called a life as a boy. But let's say hypothetically you start on disc 2, and you don't have a progression, but you don't want to play the first game, can you just start at level 33 or something?
They'll probably take the Mass Effect route of asking you to answer some questions to where your character was, or putting points in to get your character up to speed.
Destiny 2 has kind of already tackled this, where if you sit out 3 content releases and then there's a new one that requires X amount of light, they'll just go, the Traveler gifted you 50 light because of your pure heart. Now get in here and play some fucking Destiny. Yeah, but I also think, to be fair, I never knew what happened in the Act 3 of the plot of Final Fantasy VII. Jeremy, do you want to synopsize the events of Final Fantasy VII?
Don't spoil it.
I guess that's spoilers now because it's new again.
Spoil it, man. People are starting over fresh. Let them have that.
But I would just argue there's a fair amount of people who have played FF7, then played it again on Switch all the way through, like myself, and don't fully know what happens. There's a lot going on in that game.
Well, now you'll have time to experience all of it.
Exactly.
Slowly over years.
Yeah, maybe you have a better description for Red 13 this time.
Chato Jack posits that it'll be like Kingdom Hearts 3 with cutscenes to bring you up to date, which I could see that happening, like a previously on recap.
Hopefully not that many cutscenes.
Yeah, I don't know. As a big Kingdom Hearts
Fair.
fan, I still do think jumping into Kingdom Hearts 3, you're missing a lot of context and a lot of reasons why characters matter. And then if you're just given exposition, it still doesn't hit the same way.
Yeah.
So they'll probably want to find ways. I mean, the smart way to do it would be to find ways to make each of these stories work on their own while being part of a larger story.
Sure.
I mean, movie trilogies do it all the time when done well.
Yeah.
But I could see them taking that approach.
Chill.
We got a
Time
lot
will
of people
tell.
asking if Sephiroth is going to be in the game. He is.
Yeah, of
I don't
course.
know, to what
Of
extent,
course.
really, but
We've seen
that's
him in the
gonna be pretty
trailers.
cool.
Yeah.
You know, did you guys do the character face-off that we ran over the last week or so?
Oh yeah, buddy, we're over 5 million votes.
I have it up on.
We got our hosts right here.
I have it up on the screen right here if you want to play a couple rounds real quick. Just
Okay,
to show everybody how it
All
works.
right.
If you go to IGN.com, you can play a face-off game where you get to pick between two characters which one you like, and it will aggregate that down to the top choices, and then we're gonna do a power ranking episode on it. Like, would you guys pick Samus Aran or Shinobi here?
Samus.
Yeah.
I know fanboys.
You
got
started us with an easy one.
it. Yeah, maybe. I mean, there's some tough ones here. I had to choose between Dogmeat and Geralt at one point. Raphael, obviously some kind of Fire Emblem dork, or Ratchet and Clank.
Raphael for this.
Well, you can't wait.
Ratchet and
Whoa,
Clank.
but Ratchet and Clank is more bang for your buck. You got two.
Yeah, then
memorable
why
characters.
there's two of them? Yeah.
We had
Split them up.
We had a long argument about whether two characters could be one card in
really?
this,
I'm gonna go with
and
the
it came
voice of
down
God
to
coming over the PA here.
if it's a small mascot attached to your back physically.
Yeah.
You're good. You're a unit.
Clank is more than just a mascot.
Did have.
I don't
their
even
own
know who this is.
Yeah.
Kaizen? Who is this?
Lich King?
No, this little guy.
Oh, Kaizen. So I also, they let me add to the spreadsheet and I added all this weird shit. Kaizen is the evil AI from Event Zero, which is a great game.
Oh, so Lich King, got it.
Okay.
Wow.
All right, so that's how this works.
I highly recommend Event
King
Zero.
Boo or Ken? That's a little harder. I like them both equally.
King
King
Boo.
Boo.
King Boo.
Boo.
Ken's just a.
You already have Ryu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't need-
Same
you don't need Ken.
moveset.
Kurt Heck.
Kurt Hectic all the way.
I'm sure everybody knows who
MDK.
that
Who's
is.
more iconic?
Shiny Entertainment, one of the great losses in gaming.
Anyways, you get
I
the
would say.
idea. If you guys want to go check that out, it's a lot of fun. It's
Yeah.
pretty much forever.
It's addictive but boring to watch, so we should
Yeah.
get back on format.
You guys want to move on to another story?
Please,
do it.
what do you got?
Let's talk about Death Stranding.
Okay.
The PC release date announced, and there's a Half-Life crossover. Do you got the details on that one, Michael Swain?
I got some points and facts and figures. Kojima Productions 505 Games announced that the PC port of Death Stranding will now include a photo mode, higher frame rate caps, and ultra-wide screen support, which I'm going to use as an opportunity to shoehorn in the fact that Disco Elysium recently added ultra-wide screen support, and it's worth a playthrough for that alone. It will launch on Steam and the Epic Games Store on June 2nd. And you can pre-order a bunch of in-game, aesthetic stuff now, although none of it seems to be Half-Life related at the moment, as of this taping.
I don't think those will be the pre-order.
All right.
That'll probably be.
But what are the standard Half-Life iconic things you'd expect? A crowbar to open the packages you shifted from one place to another?
Morgan Freeman glasses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A face hugger hat?
Yeah.
Right?
Not face hugger, head crab
Yeah,
hat. Crossing my streams. What else?
They
Oh,
haven't shown too much.
someone suggested maybe the valve at the back of the head from
Ooh, I like
the
that.
classic Valve logo.
Yeah, one of the things that so I really enjoyed actually playing Death Stranding. I know there's, some debate around the office about who did and didn't love it. I really enjoyed it, but one of the things I didn't love was how limited the customization was, because it presents this idea of like, hey, you'll be able to customize your own Norman Reedus however you want, and then it's like, choose from these 6 colors of glasses. It's like, I don't love that. And then it's like, here's 7 more colors of glasses. And it
Well,
felt.
now you can use gold and silver, Jonathan, so congratulations.
So they did have some gold stuff as pre-order bonuses for the PS4 version as well. So I think this is just more.
What kind of customization were you hoping for?
More of the
Do you
suit,
think, oh, okay.
Just more stuff to the suit, and more stuff to the back. Like you could add a couple charms and things. Like there was slight customization. It just felt like it shouldn't have been in there if it was going to be so slight. Like it almost felt like an unnecessary.
Yeah.
Granted, that game is all about dealing with the cumbersomeness of walking over a cliff, but it felt like an unnecessarily cumbersome addition. And it could have just been more fun.
And just seeing how often you're staring at the cubes that are attached to you.
You're not saying much of your character anyway.
I thought there would be some skinning of the cubes, or like
That
you
would've
could
been
put your
fun.
own
Of the
decals on.
briefcases, yeah.
Yeah, sort of like in Phantom Pain, how you design your own logo for your floating
Yeah.
base. That
To
would
be
have been
able to,
cool to
like-
just stamp on the side of your box.
Yeah, you're all working for the same corporation ostensibly, but each one of you getting to personalize your carrier would be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's at some level though, like, yeah, you're right. Like this little bit of customization where you can barely see it anyway. It's like glasses, charms hanging off of you. It's like almost, you might as well not have it, right?
Yeah.
Like I felt the same about Outer Wilds? No, Outer
Outer
Worlds.
Worlds.
Yeah.
'Cause you're in
Both
first person
good.
the whole time.
Yeah, I spent like 45 minutes like
too.
designing my character, and then I was like, wait a
The
minute.
camera just goes whoop into your
Yeah,
head.
I was like, wait, this is a first-person game.
I
I'm
made
never
this
gonna see
super
this.
cool space grandma assassin.
Yeah.
And then I just don't see her.
It's so lame.
It makes me wonder if also Hideo obviously has strong visions that he likes to cleave to, so that might
Oh,
speak
you're
to why
first name basis?
Yeah, well, he's over there, but he's going to weigh in later if we have time. But I'm wondering if enshrining celebrities more and more, like, of course, we have Keanu coming up in Cyberpunk, there are ways in which that will curtail customization.
Yeah, there's
you know?
limitations for
There's
sure.
going to be sorts of games where they don't let you make the face look like whatever you want. And that's
but
just a
think
new
about this
reality.
for a second. Here's something to consider. This is going to be on PC, so presumably there's going to be mods. Like this guy in the comments, he said this is going to be filled with dumb mods. His name's totally not Akbar. Maybe
I
we can
hope.
just make our own
That'd be great.
cool new items and accessories and hairstyles and put our own celebrities into it even. Like what celebrities would you guys like to see in Death Stranding that are not in there already?
Danny DeVito.
But like
Yeah.
a taller Danny DeVito?
Danny DeVito with
Well,
legs.
no, I want to scale normal Danny DeVito. The stack is twice his height. I mean, it's already like that in Death
Yeah,
Stranding
true.
anyway, so it'll be like quadruple.
Penguin Danny DeVito or Frank Danny DeVito?
Frank.
Yeah, Frank. Okay, but Frank from the episode where he plays himself as a 16-year-old when he's 7.
Frank as the trash man.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
There you go.
The spandex.
Has the announcement of this port, Social King, spiked any interest in Death Stranding, or at least people arguing about whether it's a walking sim or not?
We posted an Instagram post about it, and it didn't do super amazing. That seems to be the case for our Instagram audience, especially, that they don't really care too much about PC ports
Okay.
and exclusively PC games at all. I mean, they're definitely more console-based.
Oh, I was gonna say, what does our Instagram audience like?
They like PlayStation and Xbox.
To be fair, this
Good
was
choices.
a known quantity. Like we knew it was coming to PC
Yeah, that's one of those
already, so
things
this
as
is
well,
more the.
yeah.
We have a lot of comments like this one from PSN Electric DC that says, "But my exclusives."
But the thing is, what's really funny about the Death Stranding to PC thing was this was always a known thing ever since the Kojima Productions relationship with Sony was announced. They had confirmed before it was even called Death Stranding that it would be coming to PC.
Yeah.
There was actually a Q&A on, I believe it was the European PlayStation blog, that then they took off, where they mentioned it coming to PC because essentially, I assume they didn't want it to be part of the discussion before it came out. But we knew for a long time that it was going to be coming to PC. So
Okay.
this
But the
was
Half-Life Alyx tie-in stuff
that's
is
brand new.
Yeah.
It does raise the question though of what they'll do, because my guess is it's a replacement, because in the PS4 version there is Horizon Zero Dawn stuff. There are references to it. Some of the collectibles
Oh,
that
right.
you can get.
Can't you see one of the disc-headed giraffes
You can see the
in the
tallnecks.
distance?
Yeah, you can put them in sort of safe houses and other things as sort of like a welcoming beacon.
That's cool.
We don't know if that stuff will transition to PC. It would be a little strange, given that Horizon isn't yet on PC, though there are rumors of that happening. So this could be a way to replace that, if that was a Sony-specific PS4 only thing.
Yeah.
We'll see.
On chat, people are throwing out names for characters that they want to mod into it. Keanu Reeves had to expect that. The Rock. Danny DeVito, but on Danny DeVito's shoulders. So like a double Danny DeVito.
Ooh, double DeVito.
Yeah.
Like two Danny DeVitos in a trench coat.
I would download that.
I would be
in any
super
game.
down with that.
I don't even care what the game is.
Yeah,
I used to have that.
I'm like ready for the DeVito-sance in games.
In games.
You better hurry up.
Okay.
Yeah, you better hurry.
Yeah, he's-
Somebody in the chat asked me how old I was. I'm 39.
We're all 39.
Obviously.
I'm Spartacus.
Yeah.
Do you guys
That
want
dates
do you guys
me,
want to
even
move
just
on to
saying
the
that.
next story?
Sure, but first I just want to say that I'm very excited that Cyberpunk, someone in chat mentioned Cyberpunk has a character creator, even though it's first person because it's just an OP game.
Yeah.
But I'm very excited to make myself look exactly like Alex Winter, Bill from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. I think that'll add a whole new level to
be
the
nice.
story, yeah.
I would like that.
But yes, please, Jeremy, what do you
I got a
got?
clip here that leads us into the next story. This is really important.
Roll that beautiful bean footage.
Yeah, if you guys are ready, here we go.
I know what we're talking about.
Uncharted
No
movie
idea.
appoints Venom director and Antonio Banderas.
Which movie is this? What Banderas movie is this? Can anyone
I've
call
never
it?
actually known.
No, I couldn't call that clip. Jeremy, what was that from? Do you know?
I don't remember.
Did you just Google any footage of Antonio Banderas?
That's
No, that's a known
Assassins.
meme.
Assassins.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've seen the Joel version
The
of it.
Joel version of that meme.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
It
yeah.
fits with Naughty Dog and everything.
I'm gonna. Yeah, go
I
ahead.
was just gonna say we don't know what role he's playing. My guess is he will be a treasure hunter who teaches Nathan Drake something, and then
Ends up being the bad guy.
Then ends up being the bad guy and sabotaging him, and then they have to fight him.
And then he has to rely on Mark Wahlberg, aka
As Sully, yeah, he'll think
Yeah.
Sully's not trustworthy, but it's actually
Yeah.
Antonio Banderas' character who's not trustworthy.
Somebody in chat, just called Nick, said that that movie is Spy Kids.
Oh, good. That's a good movie.
That'd be
I don't
Great.
think that's correct. I think he's taking the piss.
Giovanni Salva says it's Assassins. None of this matters. The point is Antonio Banderas has joined the cast of the Uncharted movie. And I think that brings us to a point we've been talking about a lot around the office is a lot of people are assuming that, I'm sorry, is it, it's not Tom Holland, who's the other?
Mark Wahlberg?
Mark Wahlberg is Nathan Drake. He is not.
No, he's
Tom
Sully.
Holland is Nathan Drake.
Yeah.
Wahlberg is Sully, which means this has to be set in some weird interstitial Nathan Drake time that we haven't necessarily seen yet in the games, other than arguably brief flashbacks like in the most recent one.
In 4, Uncharted
when
4,
you're
Thief's
breaking
End.
out of the orphanage.
Yeah, Tom Holland has talked a bit about how the movie is inspired by A Thief's End, and I think it's more referring to those flashback scenes where you get to see part of Drake's childhood.
It definitely can't be based on the game like in total though, because you
Yes.
can see here that Nathan Drake is a grown man with a daughter that's about Tom Holland's age. So that's not going to work.
Well, and they've talked about Tom Holland's version being the younger Nathan Drake because, of course, when this movie first started in production years ago, Mark Wahlberg was going to play Nathan Drake.
Oh, wow,
And this
okay.
movie has been in production so long, he is now Sully.
So is anyone else cautiously disappointed about that choice? That we just don't have the classic like 30-something Nathan Drake that we play for the bulk of the game?
It's hard to please video game fans when it comes to movie adaptations because
I don't like it.
It's that weird line where like you already seen this like the take on the character. There is no like, oh, actually this is my interpretation of Nathan Drake for like when you read Harry Potter or something. You can have your own personal interpretation. You watch the movie and you're like, oh, you know, I could kind of see that.
Yeah.
But with like a video game, we've already seen Nolan North, Nathan Drake, and it's like now they're shoving in Tom Holland in there. It just feels a little weird.
I mean, for me, I don't want them to just retell those games, because not just that's Nathan Drake to me, I've played as Nathan Drake. Like for me, there's that personal connection of playing through that experience. And if I were to just see a movie version of that, well, we have Indiana Jones, so I'm okay there. I like them exploring another facet of this character that I have really enjoyed over the course of, 4 or 5 games.
I agree. I also think it would be odd if it was too, because when they announced that it would be based on Thief's End, I was actually mildly like, but Thief's End is in many key ways an homage to Last Crusade. So are we going to do this telephone game where this is the movie of the game that's based on, loosely on a
Yeah.
movie? So in that way, I guess I take it back. I'm glad that they're exploring a different
I
direction.
think to them saying A Thief's End is very much just saying, we want to explore this different era
Yeah.
of who Nathan Drake is.
Okay.
A lot of people in the chat are just not feeling it. Like this guy, Third Echelon, Killy17, says it's more about the fact that Uncharted 1 through 4 are already well acted, written, and crafted games. Why do I want to see other people act in the place of characters I already know and understand so well? It makes a good point.
Yeah.
That's why Naughty Dog games in general are kind of like, why even adapt them? They're already so cinematic.
Well, I think that's the whole thing about like taking a different angle and approach, taking an era we haven't seen before. I mean, the best video game movies so far have been taking that approach. They're not directly adapting, the story of becoming a Pokemon trainer. It's like Detective Pikachu, very specific thing. It takes place in the world of Pokemon, but not exactly, right? Or even Sonic. It was like you're not running through green hills. It's just Sonic in our world and whatever that happens, like it's a decent movie. But Assassin's Creed tried to do that.
Yeah.
And one of those movies where it's like, oh, this is gonna work great. It's Michael Fassbender, and like,
And he championed it because he genuinely is excited
Yeah.
about the game.
Well, I
It was
think
not like a cash grab.
The
It was
problem
his idea.
with that movie is they were like, hey, your favorite part of the game's the modern day stuff? That's going to be most of it, where it's like, no, I want to see...
Oh, I didn't see it. Was
That-
it heavy on
it's-
Animus,
Yeah,
modern
I mean, it's
day?
both. It's 2 different eras, but it does a lot more present day, like modern future stuff than you would probably rather.
yeah, I mean, that makes more sense in the framework of a
movie,
because
yeah.
he's the protagonist, so you gotta spend more time with the protagonist. In
For
the
sure.
game, it's like, why is this even here?
I think even fans of the game are kind of weary of the modern day framing device.
Nobody likes the
Nobody
modern
needs
day
it
parts
anymore.
of Assassin's Creed. I'm
Agreed.
gonna call that out. If you say that in the chat, you're wrong.
I don't mind them.
You don't mind
how
them?
it is.
No.
You like
I mean,
the
I think
alien
it
narrative?
needs a
That's gonna
heavy
say
reboot.
that.
I think they were setting up something really cool at first, and now it's just gone off
Yeah.
the rails. But I think at first.
Sharp2257 says you're wrong, IGN. That's the first time anyone's commented that, though.
Wow.
So that's cool to be here for first.
That hit deep, man.
You know what I think are the best video game movies? We talked about this in the lunchroom recently. But the best video game movies are not video game movies at all, but just sort of take their inspiration from video game movies, like John Wick or The Raid or Dread 3D. These movies that have sort of like plot. I don't know. They have like mini bosses and they have bosses, and like in the case of John Wick, you even have like currency and like shops and like all of
Oh,
the things
yeah.
that are in video games.
Here's your coin.
From a television show perspective, The Mandalorian, it has like an on-rails shooting sequence. It has like upgrades and like items and everything.
Right.
Like they take all of the things that are fun about video games and like show them in a movie format or a TV show format, and it really works. Whereas I think these video game movies are trying too hard to ape the sort of look and feel of a movie, which might be the wrong move.
Yeah.
Potentially, yeah, especially because I think we are living through a nexus point of a bunch of different things. Like we've on Next Gen Console Watch, they've been talking about how console and PC lines are becoming blurrier than they've been. And I think in the same way, gaming and film are starting to overlap, and that'll continue to happen in like new and interesting ways. But it does raise the question of, like you were saying, like Last of Us is getting made into a movie, right?
It was. Production on that has essentially stalled.
That does.
Even Neil Druckmann has said, like, that movie's not really happening.
It seems like the epitome of why do you need to? It already almost is that. It's like it seems weird to redo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you count Wreck-It Ralph in there as video game inspired, but not?
I would call it a video game adjacent, yeah.
Yeah. I was surprised how much I wasn't annoyed.
There's not much gaming in
by
it.
it.
What? No, I was kidding.
It takes place in the world of games. It's like
Yeah.
a very meta commentary on
Yeah.
video games.
Yeah, it's less structured as a game.
Yeah, it's
Though it
definitely
has
structured as a more
scenes,
traditional film.
yeah.
Yeah.
But in the way where like you watch Big Bang Theory and you're like, this was not written by nerds. It was written by writers about what they think nerds are like.
Right, yeah.
I was worried Wreck-It Ralph would be that, and I actually really enjoyed it. So
Yeah, no,
I
it's-
think Jeremy's onto something with like go in a different direction, and maybe that's what Uncharted will do. So maybe we'll all love it. I don't know.
Seems like it's going in that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
You know what? You know what I was also thinking about, like the whole Nathan Drake thing, like Tom Holland. Does it matter how old he is or how he looks? Because like all the movies now just like age up the actors or age down the actors or like bring them back to life if they're dead, like in Star Wars. Like
It's Tom
what
Holland.
difference does it make?
It's Tom Holland. There's no way I could ever imagine a 40-year-old Tom Holland.
They're gonna give him Robert De Niro's aged up
No,
face
you don't,
from The
you don't
Irishman.
ruin that face.
No, you don't do that to his face. Yeah, he's just like so ingrained in our culture as like, hey, it's me, Spider-Man. Like, you know, like that was my Tom Holland impression.
Killer Tom
Perfect.
Holland.
Thank
yeah.
you. But yeah, he's just like always played young guy roles, and like he's just a young guy, and so like I don't know. Even if they did try and age him up, it's gonna be hard to forget that he's actually young.
LT
Whereas with The Irishman, he was
on
old.
Mixer says Ready Player One.
I was gonna
That's one that we definitely missed.
point out the same comment because I personally hate Ready Player One deeply.
I already hate the book. Like,
But primarily because of one specific thing. At the end, in the big action sequence, the Iron Giant blasts in and like pulls 50 guns out of his body and like kicks ass.
Yeah.
I am not a gun is like the emotional heart of the Iron Giant. And that felt like a big betrayal to me just because Iron Giant's one of my favorite movies.
Yes.
But did you guys see
I did see
RPO,
it.
as the
Yeah.
kids
Yeah,
call it?
I don't think I'd call it that. I enjoyed the act of watching it more than I enjoyed the book.
yeah, sure.
Like, it moves at a good pace, and some of the action scenes are fun to watch if you don't think about the historical implications of
Yeah.
them. Like, watching
Right.
Steven Spielberg's version of Stanley Kubrick's The Shining is a very weird thing that we now have in the world.
But it's unique.
Yeah.
You know, at least it was something new and kind of refreshing.
Yeah.
Like in a way, it's just like a remake of an old movie. But that book is not. I mean, it's a traditional story again, told in the
Yeah.
world of games.
Yeah.
Guys, we forgot one really important fact that I want to talk about real quick before we move on to the next story.
don't
Did you see who's directing this thing now?
Oh yeah, it's
Ruben
the
Fleischer.
Venom guy.
Oh yeah.
They did both the Zombieland movies.
And Zombieland.
And Zombieland. Did you guys like Venom?
I fell asleep right as he became Venom for the first time, so I've never seen the whole thing.
That's the best part.
That's what I've heard.
Oh man.
Didn't wake
I
up.
think, look, okay, so Venom, if you're like an adult and you're looking at it through a very critical eye, is not great.
No.
But Venom, if you think about it from the perspective of you as a 13-year-old, which Josh is pretty close to how old you are now, so you probably remember.
And you too.
Venom was bitchin', right? And this movie, I think, really captured everything that was bitchin' about Venom in a way that didn't worry too much about how critics were
Yeah,
gonna
he would
think
say
about
things
it.
like bitchin'.
Yeah. If I was a boy, I would love this movie.
He had that bitchin' post-credit scene with that bitchin' red wig. He said Carnage, all bitchin'.
Like a
It's gonna be
turd in the
bitchin'.
bitchin' wind.
You kids.
I
No, I mean, I can see why he
abstain.
would be chosen one. I mean, like keeping it within the Sony family.
For sure.
Regardless of critical reception to Venom, Venom made them so much money.
Yes.
So they are certainly very happy with him, and he is not doing Venom 2, but Sony probably wanted to keep him in the corporate family.
Who's doing Venom 2?
Andy Serkis.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's very promising.
Has he directed something?
He directed Mowgli. That
Sorry,
other.
I was gonna say, has he directed something good?
I've never seen Mowgli, so I can't say.
Yeah.
But Ruben Fleischer, obviously, Sony is very happy with the job he did there. And this movie, I don't think they're going to aim like for Academy Awards with this movie. They're aiming for a big blockbuster appeal.
For sure.
And they probably think, after seeing what he did with Venom and seeing the money they got from that movie, probably.
Same with Zombieland. That
Yeah.
movie is just like mass appeal, like.
Oh, yeah, that movie did-
blockbuster, Yeah.
Hey, they also got Tati Gabrielle in it from The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. Have you guys seen that show?
I love that show.
Yeah.
That show is amazing.
He also did 30 Minutes or Less, which I thought was very humbly good, like
Oh, yeah.
solid comedy, yeah. Unicorn Store, I remember that.
Where's all the Sabrina fans on?
Where are you, Sabrina Stans?
online?
Oh, she's one of the sisters. Yeah, she's great in that show. I have no idea who she'll play in this, but she'd be great. Yeah.
Anyway.
Here we
Move on
go.
to another story. We've been talking about this one for a long time. Although this other story is pretty closely related. Never before seen Indiana Jones Ark prop estimated to be worth up to $250,000. Somebody found the Ark of the Covenant, basically.
Now this was an Antiques Roadshow find, I believe. Is that correct? Yes.
That's right.
I love Antiques Roadshow, you
Really?
guys. I'm so
Yeah.
glad it intersected with our world on this the first
Finally.
day.
What was the prop?
It was apparently a prop. It's larger than the Ark we see on camera. It has never been seen on camera. I don't know, Jeremy, if you did more digging or Jonathan, but I'm wondering what documentation proves that this is definitely real. But the claim is that it was a prop Ark built during the period when they were testing various pyrotechnic effects, and they thought the pyro they were going to go with was going to be bigger or stronger, so they had a bigger Ark. They dialed it in more, and they realized they could build a smaller one, and that's the way they went, and that's the Ark you see. But it's like from the testing phase of figuring out the fire effect.
And it's worth $250,000.
Yeah, well,
Prop that never even appears
That's
in
on
the
the
movie.
high end. It's because there's no existing Ark of the Covenant, and it's such like a major.
Oh, is there
plot
really? Like you
device.
can't even. There's no other prop of
There's
the
no
Ark?
other prop because I'm pretty sure they blew up the other one. That's what he's saying. They used it
Oh,
for
that's
pyro,
right.
so it freaking explodes.
Yeah.
Right.
yeah, so, and
I've seen the movie, but that's how I understand it to be. So I think this is the only existing prop of this type.
but I gotta say, it is a wide swing. Like the professional evaluator, assessor valued it anywhere from $80,000 to $250,000.
Oh,
And that's another thing I sometimes wonder about Antiques Roadshow. Is of course ultimately, like we
Every day.
just saw with the auction of the PlayStation Nintendo combo console, which became the most expensive video game item in the history of the world now, thanks to that sale. Things go for however much they end up going for. You know what I mean? Like I always wonder, how can the appraiser go, oh yeah, that's going to sell for between 80 grand and 250 grand. I don't know how you know that till you sort of put it out on a marketplace and seen what people bid, but I'm not an expert on how valuation
Yeah, I mean, this guy
works.
must be an expert in like
Yeah.
classic movie props and stuff, and I mean, it's still a huge range, 80 grand to 250. Like,
Yeah.
that's a wide net you're casting.
What an incredible thing to have.
You know what I always wonder?
yeah.
Like,
Where do you
these
put it?
nerds that are buying this stuff, like, where are they getting all this money? Can you imagine ever in your life just being like, yeah, I'll spend $250,000 on a prop from a movie from the 80s? Sure, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine that. If I had that much money, yeah.
That's what you would spend it on?
Well,
That's why you're broke.
How much money do I have?
Yeah,
If I have
How much do you think somebody
if I
has
have
to
a
have to buy
billion,
that?
if I have $1 billion,
That's what I,
if I
yeah.
have $1 billion and I had a chance to buy like one of the original DeLoreans for $250,000, I would absolutely do
What else are you doing with it? With
that.
the billions?
That is like,
Paying for Flint's water?
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
The Nintendo PlayStation is currently at 280,000.
Oh, it hasn't closed yet.
No, I believe
Okay.
it's still going.
LT
ends in 3
111
days.
popped up again saying they're going to find the Crystal Skull next. I don't think anybody's going to buy that.
You can buy Crystal Skull vodka.
Yeah.
You can buy that from Dan
somebody's gonna
Aykroyd.
buy
Fatten Dan Aykroyd's pockets.
somebody's gonna buy the Crystal Skull.
Abu Sal in chat says, Chris Hardwick. I could see Chris Hardwick buying something like that.
Buying the Ark.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He's like married into the Hearst family or something. He's got bucks.
Oh yeah. I mean, he already had bucks.
I think we should try and get Pear to get it for The Office. We could get some video content out
That'd
of
be
that.
great
right?
as a backdrop.
Should we kickstart it? Yeah. Yeah. why
True
not?
story.
Indiegogo.
Our boss Pear did bid on the combination PlayStation Nintendo.
Oh really?
Yeah, he said in on Content Steer channel that like I could have gone as high as X amount, but they bypassed that immediately. But I love the idea that he was thinking of us. He was like, I just thought if we somehow got it, you could make so many videos about it. And I'm like, oh, Pear, you care about us, Pear.
This dude, Baron Skull, makes a point about the movie generally. He says, just cracks me up a little that Ford is now quite a bit older than Connery was when he played Indy's father in Last Crusade.
Shia LaBeouf just turned 50. So if that helps
kidding.
put things in, yes, I'm kidding, of course.
That's
I
not.
was- yeah.
I'm the one in the middle is generally not responsible for the facts.
How old is Shia LaBeouf really? I'm gonna look it up.
36.
Anybody in
I'm gonna
chat
say
know?
32.
I'm gonna say 36.
We got a 32 and a 36. He is 33.
33 years
Raj du
old.
Christ.
Oh my God.
Wow,
Yeah.
He's pretty young.
The perfect age to change the world.
Yeah. And take over the mantle of Indiana Jones.
Do you guys,
Bud Jones.
do you know about the art project he did where it was just a long line and you go in and it's a room and he was just crying in the room? He did that all day
No,
long.
I know he did that live stream in, I think, Brooklyn or Queens,
Yeah.
where he was just standing in front of the camera.
Yeah, I don't know if this is true,
He's a
but
cool guy.
somebody
I like
in
him.
chat, Moogle Midgar, is saying, LOL, someone offered that dude over $1 million for the Nintendo PlayStation, and he said no.
Really? Because
Not
$1
through
million
the
for that
auction.
thing?
Yeah, I think they had, I forget the exact story, so I don't want to quote anyone, but I believe it was that he had been offered that money before putting it up for auction.
So he
But
thinks he can
decided to
get
see-
higher on the
he
auction.
thinks this will end over
Or
a million?
just wanted to, see who might want it. Like maybe he didn't like who was ever offering $1 million. Who knows?
Yeah, it was Martin Shkreli was sending him money, and he's like,
yeah,
never mind. Yeah, or you'd like to think maybe he wanted it to go to a gamer of the middle bracket of being rich. Like, you still have to be obscenely rich to get this
Yes,
thing, regardless. But yeah, much luck and love to the person who either has a never-before-seen Ark of the Covenant or is a great scam artist and is
Speaking
working
of scam
us.
artist, I got a really great story for you.
Okay.
Dead or
That's
Alive
what
6
it's
now
for.
charges money each time you change your character's hair color.
I thought you meant an anecdote from your life, but this is much more on rails. I like it. Yeah, so just to say that again, because I think it bears repeating. To change your hair color now costs money in this game.
So
And
it's not just specifically hair color, but it's
Okay.
tied into a weird microtransaction form that essentially does force that.
And there's a ticket system. The minimum sale is 2 tickets for $1.99, but you get more tickets if you buy in bulk. Okay, so yeah, what do we know about what the tickets can be used on?
So it's essentially to make the cosmetic changes, you're using these tickets for each change.
Okay.
But the way it works, at least from what I've read, I haven't played the game, but based on how it works, it seems to be that every change costs money. So even if you're changing, let's say, your hair color from brown to blue back to brown, that would cost 2 changes. You're not
That's what I was
always
gonna-
unlocking brown.
Wow. Like, that's just so transparent because unlocking and gating is such a time-honored tradition at this
Right.
point. To transition back to the color you already had is also a transaction.
That's
Yeah.
so wild.
And that to me feels like either one, yes, a great opportunity to make money, they think, or just an oversight. Like that seems like an insane thing that you would know would get called out the instant people see it.
Right. So you're not even sure if they intentionally made it that way.
To me, that almost reads like we didn't think that part through. I
Or
would
the
like to
optics
believe.
through.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't think that people would want to change back to their
the
old
thing,
colors.
yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense.
I could be absolutely wrong there, but that's what that felt like to me.
Sure. If you were to buy each DLC individually, and therefore at the highest cost, you're looking at a grand total of around $900 or 776 pounds for a $60 game. Just to get full character customization. $900?
900 American dollars?
Worth of stuff you could theoretically buy if you wanted.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
How's that compare to like Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, or something?
I don't know unless you put that information in the...
Yeah, what are the
Sheet or
microtransactions
John?
I don't know
in
the
those fighting
totals.
games?
Yeah.
That's something we could compile for a future episode, though. Is
I'd
like
be shocked if it was more than $100.
the cap on how much you can spend in a game world.
Yeah,
I'd
but
love to
many
know
sense
that.
for
This game though, right? Have you guys played Dead or Alive before? Very much?
Oh,
I
in
played it
college
once. Yeah,
for obvious reasons, but not
I
3
mean,
years
you can
since
see
then.
right now on the screen, it's basically Tekken for perverts.
Yeah.
So I could imagine people spending more on little dress-up outfits and things for this.
Well, the whole
sort of game.
difference in these microtransactions is that you don't keep them. That's the weirdest thing to me. Like, even if
Yeah.
Tekken had $900 worth of microtransactions for unlockable, customizable things, you could keep going back to those and switching between whatever you unlocked, but with this, you can't.
Yeah, ostensibly. Like, that would be, I bought a suit or a skin in Fortnite, and now I can't go back to the old skin.
Right,
Would
yeah.
not be a great idea.
Well, no, going back to the old skin
Would
costs
charge
money.
more money. Yeah. I could go back, but for the same amount of money more. Yeah.
It's insane.
Does DOA still move the needle for us on social platform? Like, I don't hear a lot about
No.
DOA in the zeitgeist lately.
No, I mean,
Okay.
even most fighting games are pretty niche at this point, I'd say. And I think Dead or Alive is definitely more on the more obscure side at
Sure.
this point. I think if anything, it'd be Tekken. No, Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat's
Mortal
still
Kombat,
hanging in there. Yeah, they
it's,
just-
It's still a hot ticket item, yeah.
Yeah, but that's like the king of fighters right now.
Yeah,
as
I
far
would
as
say
our
so.
culture's
That and
concerned.
Smash, probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you count Smash, Smash wins. Yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
I mean, it's at least it's all like none of it affects the gameplay, so it's all pretty harmless. If you want to spend money on the stuff, you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to. It's gross that there's so much of it. I'd rather just pay full price and get everything that comes with the game and be done with it.
It's just weird to me that I can imagine, especially fighting games that encourage you to sort of practice, like put in time and see how good you can get. I was infatuated with MK11 for a period and tried to see how good I could get. If I got into that with DOA 6 and I was just idly buying $2, $2, my fear is I'd look back in a month and be like, I spent $400 on this $60 game?
Yeah.
That's not okay. There should be
Basically
a
how mobile
warning.
games work, right?
Yeah,
Like,
that's
It is.
like how all microtransactions in these games work.
Absolutely. I just think there is something noble about capping. Like, yes, we have microtransactions, but if you bought every single thing, it would top out at like $120. 2x whatever the game cost is. $900 just seems like you're hoping to get gambling addicts to like fall into the hole a little bit.
Yeah, or they're just really rich.
Or it's nothing to them.
Yeah.
Whales. I mean, it's a common.
That's the
marketing
positive
thing
view.
for
It's
mobile
fine.
games, especially,
Yeah.
is you're banking on a small percentage of the player base spending a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so it's okay if a lot of people don't spend too much.
Yeah, they know not everybody is like getting sucked into these microtransactions, but they know there's these very few people out there that are willing to sink hundreds of dollars into their game, and that's what makes it worth it.
Yeah.
How about you, Chat? Are there any DOA like fans who are excited about 6 and will like put time into it?
We do have a few
I
people.
wonder.
This guy Fire Native said $900 if I get all the DLC for DOA. Oh, worth it.
Who worth it?
Again, it's not worth it because you can't go back and get those things, like use those items again. Like, you buy it.
I think that's just with the hair thing, and honestly, that sounds like a glitch more than anything.
Yeah.
That seems like something that would have to be corrected. This guy, I've been Benton on Mixer says fighting game MTXs are genius, and he's not wrong. I mean,
Yeah.
fighting game microtransactions just seem like no one gets that mad about it.
They're more acceptable to me. I find myself spending with less resentment in fighting games for sure. Yeah. I wonder why.
So yeah, I think people are kind of like okay with it as long as it's, as soon as you start talking about Fortnite or something, people seem to get a little bit more triggered by it.
Well, I think because there's also a thing too when your base characters all have the same move palette.
Yeah.
Why? I mean, I understand aesthetics are an important part of a lot of people's game experience, but it adds another layer when you're like, right, but if I buy Shao Kahn, I will press buttons and new things will happen that I can't do with any of the other characters. I think that's where fighting games really get an edge on that. Like, I'll always spend $3 for a brand new fighting character.
Oh, for a character, absolutely.
character.
I mean, that's like added gameplay value.
Yeah, exactly.
Like when it comes to unlockable, what's the word?
Skins,
cosmetics.
Cosmetics is the
Yeah,
word
yeah.
we keep trying to think of.
Yeah, it's like they're just they don't really mean anything, but they do give you like a sense of ownership over your character.
Yeah,
over your game.
personalization.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why character creators are so big. Why you'll spend 45 minutes in the Outer Worlds despite it not mattering. Yeah.
Do you guys want to talk about a science story real quick?
Yeah.
Sure.
Dinosaur DNA found remarkably preserved in 75-million-year-old fossil. Did you guys read this story?
I did. I'm going to heavily resist the obvious angle because I just don't think it holds any scientific weight. No, this does not
Some actual
mean.
real footage from this.
This does not mean
Of all the ones in the series to pick.
that the franchise, which I shall not name, is closer to becoming a reality. It just means that, well, it does prove something remarkable, which is that DNA can indeed be preserved in what these scientists in this article call deep time, which is defined as like lengths upwards of 10 million years. And at the time Michael Crichton theorized that to like sort of spin off the story of Jurassic Park, that was just a vague theory, sci-fi theory.
Yeah.
It turns out that that's kind of true, and they've got a more complete than ever before DNA sequence from the oldest creature ever. And my understanding is that will just lead to more and more knowledge and understanding of this creature. I think it would be irresponsible to say that it will lead to cloning of this creature, but hey, let's go nuts. Hey, our reliable source of our news representative.
I don't know dinosaurs, man.
Is Jurassic Park coming?
I mean, probably
2021?
eventually someday. Not
Yeah.
2021.
Here's the thing: they're not. Even if we did clone them, we'll be fine. Like they went extinct.
That's what they said in the movie.
Do you hear
it's a
yourself, man?
movie, but they went extinct for a reason. Okay, like we have the technology to make sure bad things don't happen.
Do you think
Wow.
dinosaurs are going to get you or something?
You're the guy in the
I'm very
movie.
confident that nothing bad will happen if we clone dinosaurs.
You're jinxing us. This is your first episode. We're all going to get eaten by dinosaurs by the end of the week.
Yeah.
But no, the quote from the lead of the study is these new exciting results add to growing evidence that cells and some of their biomolecules can persist in deep time. And we hope it will encourage scientists working on ancient DNA to push current limits and use new methodology to reveal all the unknown molecular secrets that ancient tissues have. I personally would love to get a definitive science answer on whether dinosaurs' skins were colorful or monochrome or scaly or feathered, because
Yeah.
these are all theories and nothing's definitive. Like the choice to make the T-Rex not feathered in Jurassic Park was a creative choice. The
Buddy,
science
there's only
could
one
still
way
go
to
either
find
way.
out. We got to clone one, and then we got to make them available to purchase. If you'd like to pre-order one, click in the link below.
Yeah, we'll be providing dinosaur embryos. You just get a little cute novelty shaving kit. It's in there. You can't do anything with it. It's just a dead little thing of goop, but you can
Speaking
have
of
it.
dinosaur prices, that's one of the things that bothers me about Fallen Kingdom the most, is that they're auctioning off the dinosaurs in that movie, and they're like, yeah, $400,000 for a dinosaur. The Nintendo
animatronic
PlayStation,
ones?
no, the real in the movie, in the fiction of the film, they're auctioning off the dinosaurs for very cheap amounts of money.
I think your point is that you could buy, it's almost the same
You
price.
could buy the Nintendo PlayStation
As a Nintendo
for as much as a dinosaur.
Do you want a Nintendo PlayStation or a Velociraptor?
Well, I mean, this is the world where dinosaurs are pretty common, right?
and where they can crank them out. So
Yeah.
that's got to bring the price
Right.
down.
It was on
Cost
one.
at least as
That's
much as
economics.
like a good thoroughbred German Shepherd or something. They're not cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're not $400,000.
Oh, dude, we're looking at Pomsky puppies. They're like $3,000. If I could just add
Adopt, don't
395 grand and upgrade that to a T-Rex, decision made.
This guy in chat, Xbox Nintendo fan, what a name, says, "Where's Dino Crisis 4?"
Yeah, I'd be down.
That's a great question.
Where is it?
Where is Dino Crisis?
I
We've
mean,
got all these remakes.
Where
It
all
was
like
trademarked.
Dino
recently,
Crisis
so.
4?
Resident
question
Evil
mark.
and even Onimusha and nothing from Dino Crisis.
Yeah. Interesting omission.
Why does Capcom hate dinosaurs? What did dinosaurs do to Capcom? Or
Well, they are omitting a game where you shoot a bunch of dinosaurs in the face. So you could say they're finally going easy on the dinosaurs
that's true.
by letting it fall off. I don't know.
They're already extinct.
Why does Capcom love dinosaurs? Why is Capcom in the bag for Big Dinosaur? That's what I want to know.
That's true.
Big dinosaur.
Jason Christoph agrees. Give me my Dino Crisis, damn it. You cowards! Release Dino Crisis 4.
That's Max Scoville every week on Podcast Beyond. He is always calling for a new Dino Crisis. Yeah.
That dovetails well with
Yeah.
what I know about
Is there an
Max.
equivalent type, like modern game to Dino Crisis?
a lot of people are saying hashtag
About
bring back
dinosaurs.
Turok.
I think so.
Turok was recently back, although I assume they mean a new full-on
was ports on-
installment.
yeah,
but
it was
yeah.
It's about dinosaur hunting, not dinosaur befriending. I want like Nintendogs, but with dinosaurs. You know what I'm saying?
You wanna
a good idea.
raise dinosaurs.
I want dinosaurs with a Z, and I want Ubisoft to make it.
Where you raise dinosaurs like
That's
Pokemon?
right. Yeah.
Like Zoo
Or like
Tycoon
a
dinosaurs.
Nintendo.
like a-
there is
like
Zoo
a
Tycoon
Tamagotchi.
dinosaurs.
I think there
Jurassic
is.
Park
That's,
Evolution.
that's what I was bringing up.
Or
Yeah.
Jurassic World Evolution, which is.
There's nothing personal about that. You're in it to make money in that one.
Or as Nick points out, Ark? Question mark? Kind of. You could tame and ride dinosaurs. Is that?
That's pretty
What
cool.
about those little pills you drop in water and they become a dinosaur?
What?
They
It's
weren't
very
real.
lifelike.
Do you mean the like phone?
Oh, that's
ones?
right. You're 7 years old.
Yeah.
A very popular pastime that children used to actually kill time doing was to drop a little plastic pill in a glass of water.
Yeah, I have.
And there was a dinosaur-shaped sponge inside that had been compressed to the size of a pill. And it would get big, and you'd take it out, and you'd go, "Is that it? Is that all? It's
it
done?
was.
That's all it does?
was.
Thanks, Mom." Yeah, the sponges.
Science. It's science. See?
So, hopefully this leads to real living, breathing dinosaurs that we can market to you later.
We've only got a little bit of a time, and we've got a couple more stories to cover.
Sure.
Let's pivot to something that just blew up on our Twitter recently. We had a little discussion thread about Uncharted 5, whether you'd like to see a fifth Uncharted game from Naughty Dog, or if you'd rather just see them create an entirely new franchise. I'm curious where you guys stand on that.
Well, I'm going to throw to Josh first, since we're talking social and the people, and you always have your finger on the pulse. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, our social audience is like, they really like Naughty Dog games, as do I, luckily. So that's something we have in common.
Good taste.
But for me personally, like, I think I would want another Uncharted game, just because like I wasn't super satisfied with Thieves' End. Yeah, I don't know, Jonathan. How do you feel about it?
I would like Lost Legacy 2 before Uncharted 5.
That's true. Lost Legacy is super not talked about and underrated.
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed that one. And I also do think, even if it's not like a direct continuation of Lost Legacy 2, I think just things in that explore more of the world around Nathan Drake. Because he's very much, the world makes clear he's not the only treasure hunter. He's not the only person who's on these adventures. Granted, he's probably the one going on the craziest ones, but I like them expanding that universe with different stories that we can see. I feel like we've seen a lot of at least adult Nathan Drake in that era of his life. I am okay with him retiring for a bit and us focusing on more of the expanded cast that they've done, focusing maybe on, obviously the movie's doing young Nathan Drake, but a young Sully, seeing how he came up in the treasure hunting world. I think there are totally ways you can continue that universe without it being one more time, Nathan Drake's back at it. Like, you can only pull that trick so many times.
Yeah, Uncharted 4 already did that.
Yeah, while simultaneously seeing what else Naughty Dog can do. They've always been very generational when it comes to telling new stories. Obviously, PS4 is a bit of an exception, but PlayStation 1, they were doing Crash Bandicoot. PlayStation 2, they were doing Jak and Daxter. And then PS3, they moved on to Uncharted and Last of Us.
That's a very interesting point. They like to
So,
refresh. Yeah,
PS4, they did stick more to their guns of Uncharted and The Last of Us, but I would like to see them continuing to expand and seeing what new ideas that they have.
For PS5.
But I don't think that means that, like, the Uncharted franchise, I don't think will go away forever.
Right.
It is so clearly a major facet of Sony's identity.
The DLC point's very well taken, and if you're someone who skips DLC sometimes, I think between that and Left Behind, the Last of Us DLC, Naughty Dog has just become, in my mind, top tier as far as DLCs go at expanding story-driven games. Both of those DLCs, it's amazing how much depth they add by not necessarily focusing on the exact core cast of characters.
Well,
you
what's
were
interesting
expecting.
about Lost Legacy 2 is that it became its own standalone thing. It was
Yeah.
originally just slated to be part of the expansion pass, essentially, for Uncharted 4, and it kept ballooning in size. So it's clear that there is like a love for storytelling in this world that still exists at Naughty Dog.
Sure.
That they're willing to say like, hey, this actual like part of a season pass is just going to become its own thing too.
Yeah.
And I think that speaks a lot to their desire about this
Dude,
world.
LT in the chat is going bonkers for Jack and Dax.
I love we always pick up the same comments. I just want to say that's a pretty popular sentiment around the office. There's a lot of Jack and Daxter fans.
Janet Garcia loves Jack and
I think Jack 2 especially is a masterpiece. I would super love to see a return to Jack and Daxter. I do not expect that to be what they do.
I don't think.
No,
Yeah.
in the same way that
But
like,
a boy can hope.
they never sort of really returned to Crash, even though, of course, Crash went over to Activision.
Yeah.
I think Naughty Dog, does have a fondness for their history, and they're very clear about that history as they go forward. But I do think they are willing to take the risks to do new stories, and I think that they've have a proven track record that it's okay to let them take a risk and try something new. It tends to work out.
Do you guys think that Naughty Dog's next game would be beyond our real world rules? You know what I mean? Like, because Jack and Daxter
Real world road
is more
rules?
fantasy and more.
I was going to say, they
sci-fi.
started off with a talking, or not a talking, but a
Exactly.
bipedal marsupial.
Yeah, and then they went very realistic.
Yeah.
Do you guys think they'll try to go into that realm again?
I mean, I think it totally just depends on who's telling the stories there. As Neil Druckmann has moved toward a more senior role in the studio overall,
Yeah.
if he maybe has different stories he wants to tell in this past generation versus some of the other storytellers who are up and coming in that studio, I could see them trying both. Like, there's no reason that they can't sort of continue
Right.
along both paths.
And with the breadth of styles that they've nailed over the decades, I would almost be hesitant to guess. It could be anything. I'm
Yeah.
excited to see what it is. Side note, it wasn't until I worked here that I saw this. Have you guys seen the original Naughty Dog logo before?
Oh, way back when.
Where he looks kind of like Joe Camel. It's probably not
Right to the
viewable,
camera.
but do yourself a favor and look up Naughty Dog's original company logo. It just gives you hope. If this is where they started and now they're making Last of Us 2, shoot for the stars, team, because this logo is very 90s.
I'm looking it up, but I'm having trouble finding it.
Oh, no worries. People will find it. Well,
Oh, wait.
it helps if you know they originally spelled it Nawty. Naughty Dog.
Is it? Is it this guy? Hang on.
He looks like Joe Camel.
looks
He's
like Joe Camel.
standing on a kitchen linoleum floor.
Yeah.
It's truly an insane image.
It's someone had a passion for graphic design.
Someone who owned Kid Pics made this.
Yeah.
But yeah, Josh, is there a strong way it's leaning right now as far as people's votes on our social feeds, whether they want to see Uncharted 5 or something new, or is it
Really?
50-50?
I think it's a little bit 50-50, but yeah, people love Uncharted. And I think going off your last point about Lost Legacy.
Guys, is this what we're
that's
talking
it.
about here?
That's-
I found
That's
this
the
on
one.
my
Naughty Dog's OG logo.
the naughty.
That's incredible.
That's amazing to
I
me.
want that tattooed on my body.
Yeah.
You won't.
What were you saying, Josh?
Yeah, Lost Legacy actually experimented a little bit with the formula as well, gameplay-wise. They has that section where it's a little bit open worldy.
Yeah, so 4 started the idea of that, and then they really were with Lost
Yeah.
Legacy, let's do an open world thing. I don't think it's the best open world section of
No.
a game like that by far, but I do like that they were willing to take a risk like that. And I think when you're working within the confines of smaller games, because Uncharted 4 is a big game. The thing that's probably most criticized by a lot of people who love it but have issues is that it's a little too long.
Yeah.
Whereas Uncharted Lost Legacy took a shorter approach, but very much was we're going to try to experiment within this. I am all for them doing that because that's also a risk.
yeah.
That's a risk-reward thing where they can take a bet on a slightly smaller project and do something riskier.
Yeah.
Whereas saying Uncharted 5, there are going to be certain expectations people
Yeah.
have, and if you start putting brand new things in there that feel incongruent with the series as people know it, you might get a lot of blowback.
I think I'm with you. Yeah, I'm ready to move past Nathan Drake's story. I think I would like an Uncharted 5 if it wasn't about Nathan Drake. If it was doing something fresh with the formula.
Do you notice how many people in the comments were saying that they want young Sully?
Young Sully seems like a safe
Young Sully
bet.
actually
Yeah.
is a great idea because then you can go a little bit more period piece, different vibe. How old would he be? I mean, what decade is that if he's in his 20s, 30s?
Oh yeah, I'd love to see.
Would it be straight up Indiana Jones?
It might be.
Or I could see a 70s vibe, young Sully being really funny. Because he is different than Nathan. He's like the gregarious kind of like schmoozer.
According to the Uncharted wiki, he was born in 1951, so we have an exact date.
Okay.
So his 20s would
The
be in
80s.
the 70s or
Yeah.
80s for
70s,
30s.
80s.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm down.
Him as 80s, basically doing like Don Johnson in Miami Vice. I could see Sully
Yeah.
being that kind of
I don't
guy.
know, I'm in the camp that I'd like to see them just do something new. This guy, Pro Savagey, says, new franchise, goddamn, I want to see some new games. Remember when gaming companies made a trilogy and that was it? They moved on to the next thing? All of their IP have been pretty good, pretty game-changing.
Yeah.
Like, I say just move on with it. Get on to something else. Just like we're going to do for our last story, because we're almost out of time.
Uh-oh.
I have one more, and we're going to have to go through it pretty quickly. But,
It's like we are out of time, but go for it.
Ruffalo says there is talk of Hulk appearing on Marvel's She-Hulk series.
All right.
Have you seen this?
He
True.
said there's a lot
Seen
of
this?
talk to
You
it.
heard about this?
Have you heard about this?
He also said that he was on Colbert a few months back and was asked about more Hulk appearances in movies. He's like, I had some ideas I shared with Kevin Feige. That's very different from there are people working on new Hulk movies.
Yeah.
I mean, that could mean as much as, you're walking down the hall, you're like, Kevin, She-Hulk,
Yeah.
I should, and he's like, yeah, that sounds good. Let's connect about that later, dude. Yeah.
We talked about
We talked about
Hulk
it.
is in.
It's sort of plot important if they're going to do an origin story because in the comics, what's her name? Jennifer Walters gets like a blood transfusion from him, and the irradiated blood turns her into the She-Hulk.
Oh, so now I want to.
She's not like a rage demon like he is. Right. She's a lawyer, which is kind of the same thing.
It could
like
be a legal
Smart
drama.
Hulk.
I want to see Morbius suck the Hulk's blood and become
He can't be in this
Morbius. Okay, yeah, that's true.
Morbius, huh?
You're
I wanna
wishing for
mold.
too much.
Yeah, I want to see the Good Wife She-Hulk though. Basically, I would watch that
A
show.
legal drama where
Yeah.
the lawyer just happens to be
Be
a very
She-Hulk.
strong green woman.
Yes, yeah, that would be great.
Do you guys think that we're going to see the angry Hulk or the smart Hulk in this?
It's got to be Smart Hulk.
Smart Hulk.
Did you like the smart Hulk? Did that work for you as a
I didn't like how they immediately jumped to Smart Hulk.
Sure.
I think there was a very interesting struggle that Bruce Banner had with Hulk in Infinity War, and then in Endgame they're like, "Oh, we're good now."
Yeah, I like him on his own. Like, I enjoyed the scenes with him, but yeah, there is like a middle step missing there. Part of the problem is that they can't currently, as far as we still know, make Hulk solo films.
Yes.
Because the rights are still weirdly caught up in issues with the original production studio.
You think that's why they're doing She-Hulk instead?
Han
certainly doesn't
Solo
hurt.
gets a blood transfusion from the Hulk solo films.
Jesus.
You're just pitching too much now.
Well, I have a call at 5, so I'm trying to.
A lot of our fans are not into the smart Hulk thing. I don't know. I think everybody kind of preferred the way that he was portrayed in Ragnarok.
They certainly, they like figured out how to use the Hulk well in movie version, and Smart Hulk is doing homage to something that happens in the comics, but I still think we all prefer
We could have had another couple steps.
Hulk who just humorously punches Thor.
The thing about Smart Hulk is that it feels like Hulk. We got to know Hulk as a character, and then he was just like dead, basically.
Yeah.
Like there was no real send off. It's like, oh no, it's me, Bruce Banner. I'm just green now. And it's like, oh, what happened to like the Hulk that you were talking to and like had a connection with and a conversation with?
When there's that, like you were saying, that whole struggle in Infinity War of him, like the Hulk not wanting to come out, it was a total reversal of what we had with them, and that was great.
Yeah.
And then it's like, flash forward 4 years later,
Yeah.
and then, oh, okay.
Bruce Banner's like, I ate Hulk, and like,
Yeah.
I'm smart now. Yeah.
Who do you think's gonna play She-Hulk? I think anybody on Glow. I know everyone's been talking about Allison Brie, but almost any of the actresses on Glow. Outside of that, I don't know.
Doc Garby in chat suggests Rosario Dawson. I don't think that would be a bad choice.
Isn't she already in?
Yeah, we want to go home.
Oh man, this guy. All right, we're being told to wrap it up.
I was gonna wrap it up, to be
Yeah, I'm actually
fair,
getting a phone
voice in
call.
the sky, and then Jeremy slipped one more by us. But we will wrap it up on that note. You can join us for this live news show, the title of which changes every time I try to remember it. But we discuss news, games, and much, much more. You will see a rotating cast of IGN faces. I want to thank everyone for being here today. Thanks you, chat, for keeping it lively. We will see you every weekday afternoon at 4 p.m. PST.
Yeah.
Bye.
Not me though. I won't be here tomorrow.